And welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw. With me today, I got my co-hosts, Matthew Aguilar, Evan Valentine, Janelle Wheeler is with us as well.
Hello. Wow, I got the voice crack and everything.
All right. And once again, this
day.
episode is brought to you by Global Comics. Global Comics is your digital comics reader that offers 100,000 comics at a subscription price of one book. With your gold membership, you can get access to the works of all of your favorite publishers, including a bunch of DC content that is now on the service. So jump on to Global Comics, get your gold membership started, because as always, we are Comic Book Nation and we are going to be reading tons of these books, discussing them, and we want you guys along with us. And just to help you get started, we always try to give you a pick of the week from our boy comic guru, Matthew Aguilar. Matt, what do you have for us this week?
Man, we're having a little crossover because you know what you can find on Global Comics Gold? The Witcher. You can actually find some amazing books from Dark Horse. Dark Horse has been publishing Witcher stories for quite a bit, and they've been overall excellent. And it's part of kind of their vertical scroll tombs package. The Witcher stories, especially from some of the trades, have been adopted to where you can kind of read them as essentially like episodes. And you can start from House of Glass, and it scrolls through, looks great. You can start from there and then move on, and then you have access to so many of these via gold. So look, I'm always going to plug Witcher when I can, and especially for some of the comic stuff has actually been very, very good, and sometimes it gets overlooked, I feel like, but wanted to give it a shout out here.
All right, so that is Global Comics, and that is Comics with an X at the end. Hop on, get your gold membership started, and read along with us, including The Witcher. All right, so welcome back, everybody. It is another week. We are getting into fall. It's time to get spooky. So on this episode, we're going to be talking about Monster, the Ed Gein Story, to get us into the Halloween season. We've also got to wrap up Peacemaker, which ended this week. It's also this little thing called NYCC that's taking place as we are sitting here. And so we're going to talk about some things that may or may not be happening at NYCC, including some trailers we've already gotten. And of course, it is a comic show, so we have some hot new comics to talk about. All right, let's get started. No further ado. All right. So, like I said, it's New York Comic Con. I miss it. I used to be there. I used to live down the street from the Javits Center, and it was like one of my favorite events. I love NYCC because it does have that different flavor from San Diego. It is just kind of like, I don't want to say it's like edgier. It's just kind of like, it feels like it's more of like that fringe fandom. You have the anime kids coming in heavy, you know, there's just a lot. It's its own culture over there. And so shout out to everybody who's up at NYCC and hopping through the NYC jungle to do different things in the city this weekend. Everybody be safe. Everybody have fun. Now let's talk about what we've seen kind of come out of the convention. We already got one big trailer that I think we can all center on, and it's always good for Janelle to kind of jump into. So Janelle.
Oh no.
What was the big trailer we got?
The big trailer we got was something Game of Thrones, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I said, oh no, because I genuinely wanted to like this. But personally speaking, I don't need this story. I'm very happy with my House of the Dragon that I'm, currently still in. And this is it feels like a small story. Now, obviously, this is Game of Thrones. So I believe that it's going to blow up. It's going to have a bigger, theme. Like there's going to be something huge about it. I just hope that it's established early on, because I don't know if I can get through all of that. I also, like, anytime there's a kid involved, I'm so freaked out that something terrible is going to happen to them. And because this is Game of Thrones. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm absolutely petrified. It looks well done though. It looks beautiful. It feels like Game of Thrones, but it's cheeky and like bouncy, which is weird. And I'm just curious, what did you guys think about this? Like, how did you feel after watching it?
Yeah, I'm very curious because I'm a Game of Thrones head that's been established on the show. And
Yes.
so like I've done a lot of the lore deep dives. And so it's very curious how they're marketing this show. And I'm like trying to be very careful how I talk about it. Because as you've already kind of sussed out, there is more that fits into the lore and why they chose this particular story to tell.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of tricks they're playing in plain sight in this trailer very well. But it is, and it's kind of a misdirection marketing too about what the real focus of this story is. Sir Duncan, the Tall is a name you hear pop up in lore a lot. And so it's always interesting, especially in Game of Thrones, to have what you hear in the original series from history as legend and then go back and actually see what actually happened and who people actually were, and all of that. And so they're smart to pick this story because it is a very big thematic bridge gap between what House of the Dragon is and what Game of Thrones is in terms of certain parts of that lore. This is an important thing. And I can't say more because again, they're not marketing it, so I don't want to spoil it.
Thank you for that, Kofi.
But there's
something
that is in this story, and it's actually a really wholesome story for the Game of Thrones universe.
I know that I felt that. It's like the little like quips and things to laugh at. I was like, wait, what are we doing? It doesn't feel like Game of Thrones. I feel like my problem is that I went into it like Game of Thrones, and instead I need to go into it as like something completely different.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. In Game of Thrones, we've pretty much so far we've been focused on all of the bad rulers.
Okay.
But there are very deep lore epic stories about the people good rulers and why and how they became good rulers versus the people who became bad rulers and what that process was. So I think Game of Thrones is actually trying to tell one of their more hopeful stories, which would be interesting to see if the fan base can do it, because we just like sword cuts and limp things running around nude,
red dinners and
red dinners and limp nudity, as South Park so ably pointed out.
Fire people.
Yeah. So so it's going to be an interesting companion piece to House of the Dragon in particular, because when that show ends in its connections to this, because this is only 100 years before Game of Thrones, so this is further along the timeline. And we see that they're Targaryens. So like what that is and the effects of that show bleeding into this show is going to be interesting. But I'm here for it because I'm just a lore head and I know what they're doing here. And I think it's very interesting what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I could see this show actually being around for a couple seasons of TV, and where we start and where it progresses to. It could be one of those like, oh man, that was an arc type things.
Cool. Matt, Evan, anything you're feeling about?
D never left. I'm right here, baby.
It's kind of chat. It's kind of tough because like I feel like I watched like the first couple episodes of House of the Dragon, but it's so difficult for me because I feel like the well was poisoned so much with the finale of the original Game of Thrones that it's just like my ability to care about all these spinoffs is like really.
House of the Dragon really, so good. Okay,
I'm gonna really like the way that you guys have described it and everything. Like I'm gonna really give it another shot to try to really get into it. But like, just because I'm not a big lore head when it comes to like Game of Thrones in general. No, so like I'll try to like dip my. I've awakened.
Offended me, sir. Sir, you have offended me in my house and my nation. House Outlaw stands with the lore of Game of Thrones.
But I will try to give it another shot, and certainly like hey, if the story's good and it can make up for that finale, like I'll be there. I'll be there for it. I'll give it another shot.
I think it does. I think House of Dragon does. I do. Matt?
It's funny. This is the series I am the least familiar with, but I gave House of the Dragon a chance and I dug it for the most part. There are times where that show just goes over my head. And I don't know what the hell we're talking about because I don't have the lore. Like I don't have the.
Oh yeah, Matt's for record for everybody who's new to the chat or is just listening. Matt has never watched Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
This is
why I was curious if he would want to watch this.
Yeah, this is part of our podcast lore. Matt has never watched.
Like
Game of
I
Thrones.
just. So there are things. There was that one discussion we had about like when I think it was when the trailer for House of the Dragon first hit. And Kobe and Janelle are like losing their minds. And I was like, yeah, it was like a mountain. That's crazy. And like standing in front of a thing. And Kobe's like, you didn't know what that was? Like, nah, man, that just looks like, I don't know where they are. I was like, why are they looking at that tree? What is it? Why does everyone care about this damn tree? So anyway, I don't have that lore to pull from, right? But I ended up still enjoying House of the Dragon, even though some stuff like clearly just doesn't resonate with me, like I feel like it will for real fans who like know what they're looking at. So this comes along and it looks cool. Like I still am a sucker for fantasy. I'm a sucker for medieval stuff. Like this is in my wheelhouse. It's just a really glaring blind spot that I have for this franchise. But like this stuff does actually resonate with me. And I'm a sucker for a story of a knight, and we start getting to like it has very like Arthurian legend feels in areas here, and so I'm gonna give it a shot. Like there's stuff I dug here. I would actually probably say if we didn't go as dark and we didn't go as like cynical as I feel like sometimes we are wont to do in these things, I would probably like it better. So like. This is actually cool. Like if some of the things,
I'm not necessarily saying that.
You pitched it as such.
No, I want to be clear. What I'm saying is there are stories about in Game of Thrones lore about rulers who react to the world they see around them, and they're like, "Oh, these people are scum, and I'm in charge." And then there's other rulers in the lore who look around the world around them, and it's like, "We got to fix this." Like we got to fix it for the common people. Like we got to do that. There's stories like that, and there are people who have been influenced by others, who made them people, in nobility who were influenced by people from the lower ranks who came and made them open their eyes to the plight of the people. And there were like, so there in Game of Thrones lore, there are the like elitist rulers, but there are also the very egalitarian rulers who were known to be good kings and stuff like that. And so they're. But you don't necessarily get to there without having to go through the mud of the world. You know what I mean? So it can still be pretty dark. Like it's just how do these characters react to that darkness?
Right. If I can get someone to root for, it would be great.
I mean, we all know we're kind of dancing around the most obvious thing about what there are. Is Game of Thrones is just ripping off the Mandalorian Lone Wolf and Cub formula. That's what we're doing here. Which was also The Last of Us, which I adore. Pretty much all the TV we are doing on Prestige TV. Maybe it was arguably even Penguin. So we're doing this like Lone Wolf and Cub thing for Game of Thrones. That's what we're doing. In the most simple, cynical TV producer terms. That's the elevator pitch. Hey, you remember that early Mandalorian? Let's just let's Game of Thrones that.
And I love Mandalorian.
So
I love that storyline.
Yeah, and it'll appeal to people like yourself who may think Game of Thrones is so dark and like, ew. I don't need to watch the show with a brother and sister humping in the first episode, but like, yeah, a lone wolf and cub in a more traditional knight story, an underdog knight trying to come up and do his thing, and that's all they're pitching for now. So that's all I'm going to focus on. But there are two main characters in this show, and it's obviously about their rapport and stuff, and so. Yeah, there's more that this story is going to open up to, but this is a knight's tale. This is we know this story and it's very familiar, and I think it's something a lot of people can grasp onto. So we'll see how it is. But I think the thing that can hold it back the most maybe is the name Game of Thrones, because now people might have feel some kind of way as opposed to just like a traditional story about a knight or something. but we'll see. We've spent way much more time on this. This was way deeper than I thought we were going to go on this.
That's how it always happens.
Moving forward. The other trailer that we have, I guess, or that we've discussed several times is Kofi's bread and butter, Predator
Badlands. Yeah. So we got a new trailer for the final trailer for Predator Badlands, and I watched it reluctantly. I didn't need to watch it. I mean, I'm already the sold audience, but I was like, let's just see where the effects are. Like, I just want to know. I was more curious about how much the studio is investing in this. And from what I've seen, like, pretty well. They've invested in this pretty well. I mean, the Predator character alone, just the face animatronics, like all of that, the characterization we're getting from this is pretty spot on. And like, that was the one thing, you know, that I would have worried about is, can you sustain this movie with a Predator character? And it looks like very much so. And also, I don't think we did enough to talk about the environment like that they're in and kind of like this world they're creating of monsters. Also, I love Dan Trachtenberg and the way he just markets. I'm watching the trailer now and like how it begins. It's like very almost like indie horror movie, like in a live scene with this character while flashing the credits and all of that. It's not like your traditional movie opening. And they're just like frightening beasts, like this ball with the tentacles, like all this creature design. Like, this is the stuff I want again. And I love that Predator's doing it because it's been Aliens' bread and butter for so long to just have these creepy worlds and creatures and things like that. But seeing the Predators go up against something alien, it's like that's what Dan Trachtenberg does so well. It's like we've had this lore for how long? Since the 1980s. And he's the first guy to go, you know what? Yeah, Predators hunting us is terrifying. But what do they have to hunt like outside of here? Like, what else is out there they're up against? And this is that kind of story, and I'm here for it. And I love that we get Elle Fanning as like this kind of comic relief thing that could actually speak for us in the audience. And I'm interested because they keep hinting without overselling that there are larger lore things happening here. Like, that's a Weyland-Yutani loader we're getting in this, and like Weyland-Yutani soldiers and an android. So like, this is an alien crossover as well. But I love that that's like the least hype thing about it. Like, I'm so interested in this story of this Yacha character, and that's the name of the Predator species if you don't know, and like this almost Shakespearean story with his dad and stuff. I'm already sold. So this is nuts. And Trachtenberg's got me rooting for a guy with, you know, we won't describe what that face is, but like, you know, our alien-faced protagonist will be keeping me entertained because that's not what they call predators. We all know on the streets what they call predators, but we're not gonna do that here. Let's go to Matt. Matt, you are the hardest sell probably for this. How did you feel about this trailer? Did you buy tickets for the whole family yet?
No, I did not. But I haven't been as hard to sell on. Well, number one, it helps that Dan Trachtenberg is a part of it. I'm a big supporter. Dude doesn't put out anything I have been disappointed by. So all it makes me irritated is that we didn't get his Uncharted, right? Like, every time this comes out, this is the only thing I get mad about. I loved that first trailer. This one just like sealed the deal. Like, I was already in after the last footage. Like, I was already on board. This looks dope. This looks so cool.
Yeah.
It
looks like it's gonna be
I cannot believe we're in a time. Like, I would not have predicted Aliens and Predator would be like two of like the franchises I was most excited about in 2025. I did not see that coming. Alien Earth, like, you know, like it didn't land as the landing was a little like different than I was envisioning, right? But I'm still excited for season 2. If we get it, right? But this, I will say, if we're judging like where you are on a certain franchise, I am up here when it comes to Predator. I just just looks, it's just operating on a different space right now. I just think this looks awesome. So yeah, I'm in. If anyone's gonna see it, you know, it'll be me. I can't guarantee that the rest of the family will, but it'll be me. I'll be on board.
Evan, you're a horror head. How do you feel about this? And you're also like a franchise head.
I love this so much. I mean, two things to note is, ironically, Matt, you could bring the whole family to this because this is rated PG-13, which is kind of like news that they released like earlier this week, which is kind of surprising because, you know, Predator as a franchise is normally rated R, but Dan Trachtenberg and the rest kind of said, don't worry, it's still going to be violent. But the fact that most of the violence happens to like aliens that don't have and like, and mechanical things is kind of because they've taken that into account. And it doesn't necessarily need swearing because your main protagonist is like a weird alien that I'm sure has swear words all his own. So he doesn't have to drop the F-bomb or anything like that. But another thing that I really wanted to note about this, aside from it looking awesome, is the fact that they're bringing Prey to theaters with it for like double features. And I loved Prey. Absolutely. I remember talking about it here on the podcast. If you have not seen Prey, see that movie, watch it in the original Comanche dubbing, because that just really helps in terms of you being dragged into that world. I am here for it. This is a golden era of Predator and Aliens, and I never thought we'd live to see the day again because it's been so long since we have. But like Kofi said, I kind of almost didn't watch this trailer as well because like I've seen everything I need to see, but like I'm gonna be there day one to see this. But yeah, I'm hyped. I think it looks amazing. In Dan Trachtenberg, we trust. I'm here for it.
Janelle, are you ever gonna watch this?
Yeah, this actually, it just looks very impressive. I really like space stuff, you know that. And I love the AI robot side of things. And so that alone intrigues me so much, like their interaction between this like robot AI and, you know, this predator is just that's the thing that's exciting me the most. So I don't know if I don't think I'd go to the theater, but I would definitely watch it when it's
definitely going
available.
to theater to see this.
I know it says like watch it in IMAX because I'm sure it's going to be fabulous.
I am. Oh yeah. If I sat through Tron and Dolby, I'm gonna go watch this for sure. And yeah, Prey is a good one. Like, yeah, I would go for a double feature of that because we never got that opportunity, and that is a fantastic film. All right. So did we do it? I think we've done it on Predator.
Absolutely.
Badlands. What about this Mercy trailer? Anybody watch this? Anybody want to get freaked out about AI with Mercy and Chris?
Yeah, this is a weird crime thing. AI, if our listeners haven't watched this trailer, I'm so curious. It's weird because the whole trailer is basically like him stuck in a chair. And I'm wondering, wait, is that the right one? Yeah, I'm wondering if like that is what we're going to be seeing in the theater, if he's going to get out and run around and do some crime solving. I'm not quite sure, but I don't know.
Like one of those single setting concept films.
Yeah. I'm not like hyped on it, but it's intriguing. I've got my eyes on it. I'm watching. I'm gonna see what happens.
It's a bold swing. I like it.
Yeah.
I like single setting movies. Like I kind of dig those. Like I watched some Netflix thing called what was it called? Like The Circle or something. And it was literally like a group of people had been abducted by aliens and they're put in a circle, and every 90 seconds they gotta vote
movie.
To kill one of them. But it's just a philosophical debate between people about who deserves to live, who's like valuable and stuff. I'm liking this dark shadow lighting on this one. We're gonna keep it. So that's what it is. And this one looks like it's gonna take the bold swing of basically saying, can an AI really, summate our lives, our experiences as humans, and all of that, and is something that we're gonna be able to consider because we are on that precipice. So I think this could be actually pretty interesting. And Chris Pratt's okay, but I trust Rebecca Ferguson more than anything in this.
Yeah,
and so
she's a great AI.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just tweeting. I rewatched Doctor Sleep this week, and you want to talk about great performances. Rose the Hat, and I'm pretty sure she hardly even wears shoes in that movie. It's crazy. But I just like noticed it. I was like, does this lady ever wear shoes? It's like hardly ever. Just like 2 scenes she wears shoes in that movie. But and I say that not as like some weird foot fetish, but to say like to make a compelling villain who's mostly barefoot is pretty a good accomplishment. Like, yeah. So anyway, I love Rebecca Ferguson. Please send her my letters. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I think this one will be interesting. Let's go to what's on the screen of the chat screen here, which is Primal Season 3, which I didn't see coming. I was like,
oh yeah,
I just got into Primal. Like, I just got into it this past year because I was such a big Samurai Jack fan, and I didn't get into Primal initially when it broadcast. I watched the first episode a couple times. I was like, whatever. But then when I started getting into it, I was like, yeah, this show, it took over my life for a couple days. And so, yeah, seeing this come back, I am really, really excited for Primal and what they can do with this next kind of generation of the story. And it is just, Primal's such a, Gennady is such a nutcase, man. Like, Primal's so good about just like family and found family and bonds in episodes that hardly ever use any dialogue, and it's crazy. And if you don't know what the series is about, it's about a caveman and a T-Rex who are both kind of united by the tragedy of losing their families, and so they form this found family and become like this ultimate warrior pair. But it also weaves in like, you know, very imaginative brushstrokes of history, you know, as mankind and history and civilization starts to develop. Both the T-Rex and the caveman are finding themselves out of, you know, the world's changing around them. Technology, war, you know, combat technology's changing. So it's a great show. Anyway, I'm going on a rant. So I'm happy for season 3. That one I didn't see coming, but I'm going to be here. I'm not a Mighty 9 fan. I just put it on here because it was a big trailer that came out at NYCC already.
I do have something quick to add about Primal, just because our own Nick Valdez did talk with Genndy Tartakovsky earlier this week. And he was able to kind of like talk with him about the fact. So very quickly, like some of the background of Primal season 3, a lot of folks thought that this was going to be more of an anthology series, because to give you an idea, Primal for me is one of my favorite pieces of fiction ever. I love Primal. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's stunning. I was talking with Nick earlier this week about how every single frame I could make into a poster and hang it on my wall. And for this season specifically, at the end of season 2, Spear, the caveman, he dies. So a lot of people thought, okay, this is going to be the opportunity where they kind of look into different worlds while keeping the same primal aesthetic. And that is something that Genndy actually thought of doing. But when he was creating season 3, he came to the realization that it wasn't really working. So he wanted to return to this. He's going for more of an magic, supernatural feel for this, where obviously Spear is fighting to regain his humanity as a horrific zombie from there and kind of moving forward. So that's go ahead and read that interview on comicbook.com from our own Nick Valdez to kind of do that. But yeah, I'm super hyped for this. Matt, Janelle, have you guys watched Primal? I'd love, because like I could not recommend this show enough. It is so, I mean, like really, like, yeah, it's violent, but it is, as Kofi said, there's next to no dialogue in the series. There is dialogue, as like I'd say, especially in the second season, because as Kofi kind of mentioned, that the world opens up and there's more like look into the various things. But oh man, I could not recommend this show enough. I love it. I need to do a rewatch before season 3, but have you guys seen it?
No.
Janelle, you might like it, actually. There's a whole like mama bear element to the show.
I didn't love the animation in the trailer that I saw. Like, it kind of just like made me uncomfortable at first. I know.
Yeah,
it is uncomfortable at times.
I know.
No, you're going in some weird territory. That's Genndy. Tarkovsky, man. You're talking about the original Clone Wars, Clone High, like.
But
yeah.
you have to remember, I don't know anything.
Yeah, I know. Samurai Jack.
About animation.
I'm joking with you, but this animation style is its own subculture vibe. With
wow,
particular.
I'm scared.
Style.
Don't get mad at me.
Samurai Jack, come on, yeah. But you might like this because the T-Rex is a girl. There's a whole subtext about this, about like parenting and that mama bear energy and stuff like that. It's a big part of it. It's it's all about. There's a whole thing about the babies in this. So yeah, Primal's coming back. That's awesome. I'm not a Mighty Nine fan, but that's on the horizon as well. If you're a fan of that, Evan.
I have something so I've seen the first episode. I'm one of the first people in the world to have seen it because I visited the Savannah College of Art and Design Animation Festival.
You are just up here to flex today, huh?
I'm here to flex. I saw all the topics that we had and I was like, oh man, I can talk about a lot of these. I saw the first episode of the Mighty Nine and I haven't listened to Critical Role, all of the campaigns. But I did have the chance to not only see the first episode, I also talked with the creators of the Mighty Nine at the Animation Festival. It is very, very different from Vox Machina. I was kind of amazed at that. It's much darker. It's much because the way I kind of look at it is that Vox Machina kind of is a comedy series that has dashes of seriousness throughout, is what I kind of like looked at it. It's completely flipped for the Mighty Nine. It's a very, very serious series that simultaneously has like dashes of comedy in it. Like I was kind of amazed at how serious the characters are. In terms of it's the way I kind of described it because I was talking with buddies about it. When I was describing like what the story was, is that it's way more of a crime thriller than it is. Like it's really weird to say that, but it's like way more of like a mystery in terms of like how it's presented, all the different things. So like I'm anxious for people to watch the first episode. I think it debuts at the end of next month. But yeah, it's super good. And Matt, you are a big Critical Role fan.
I really enjoyed what they did in adapting the first story from Critical Role, right? I liked Vox Machina, but I will say that Mighty Nine was the one I was looking forward to more because that campaign is just to me more like that was just like that was like right in my wheelhouse as far as like the things that we're talking about there, the vibe. There's a little bit of a Rat Queens vibe, I feel like. And I love Rat Queens, but like there's a little bit of more of that in Mighty Nine. So when I was like, oh, they're gonna bring that to animation and we're gonna bring much of the cast back, and all, I was like, yeah, that's the one that like I hope the first one does really well, so we get there because I dig that. So I really love the trailer. I think they nailed the aesthetic. Now I have screeners. I have yet to jump into them. They do have screeners, and I'm very excited because I want to jump into this as at that time. But yeah, I am stoked. I'm very excited for this. I thought they nailed it.
All right, Matt, why don't you keep cooking and tell us, buddy, what's Marvel doing over there in that main universe? Where we're really getting into the creative, we're tapping into creative, deep veins of creativity over there with our new crossover event. What are we getting?
I feel like you're saying that sarcastically.
I got that vibe too.
I don't know. I'm getting a vibe.
What are we getting from Marvel, buddy?
Here's the thing. So they announced a couple things yesterday.
What happened?
Okay, so I'm gonna take a more positive. I feel like I've been very negative of Marvel lately. Been a little I've been a little negative, and I'm gonna shine some positivity here because while I wouldn't have said the first thing on my list of, hey, what do you want Marvel to do is like more symbiote stuff. and they're doing a ton of that. I will say there's some perks here. So number one, we got Death Spiral, which was the Spider-Man Venom project. That is very much if you haven't been paying attention to like the Venom Carnage side of things in Marvel, they're going to do a lot with that. Like they've been setting up some things there. And there have been some really interesting things that they have set up. Death Spiral is the new book that is coming in February of 2026. I will say, though, it's Ed McGuinness art, and I do love myself some Ed McGuinness. Ed McGuinness is one of my favorite artists of all time. Okay. Somewhere back here is a Batgirl sketch he did. Shout out to Brad. Who gave me that. I love. What do you mean, why? What do you mean, why? Just go back and read Public Enemies. Go back and do so many amazing things Ed McGuinness has done. Whether you like the stories or not,
I'm trolling you.
Like
Relax.
He's
just trolling.
Anyway, ironically, I wouldn't say Spider-Man is on my list of like top things I want to see him draw, but we did get a cover. Looks snazzy. Very excited for that. The biggest thing, though, is on this very show, we've been dipping into lore. And one of the things we actually raved quite a bit about back in the day for Marvel was King in Black. It was one of the storylines that actually got all three of us super hyped. We were digging what they were doing. That was during the Donny Cates kind of big Marvel run there. Now we are doing Queen in Black. And this is spinning directly from a cliffhanger from kind of, if you read Venom 250.
We're building on good ideas.
At least the foundation's strong, right? King of Black was excellent. I loved King of Black.
That's the foundation for this? Because it sounds like the Mary Jane Venom thing is the foundation for this. So we're just building a house on that real good sand.
It's funny. It's kind of funny, okay? So, like, the Queen in Black thing got announced, and the first thing I thought, I don't know if anyone else here was like this, was Marvel Rivals. Because literally they built in Hela. They built in Hela as like the Death Spiral thing. It's a skin and everything. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And now we're building a whole event off of it. Null is her prisoner, essentially, at this point. That was kind of the big reveal. And they are essentially going to make her the Queen in Black. She is running things. And then obviously you're going to have this big confrontation between her and Null at some point in time, right? So that's where we are here. I would say I'm more excited for this, but I'm excited for this because we are coming off of a One World Under Doom thing that I just cannot find myself to care about.
Matt, I would love to hear everybody's picks on who they think the next Sorcerer Supreme is going to be, because if we're talking Marvel Rivals cross-pollination, I think it will be Magic. I think they're going to give it to her.
Boy, is the first thing of the first thought that came to mind there of who's going to be the next Sorcerer Supreme? And I'm like, I don't care. It's not Doctor Strange. He's over there doing stuff on Asgard. His whole book is a Thor book. His whole book is an Asgard book. Doctor Strange isn't even like whatever. I'm so mad. I said this was going to be positive. I tried to leave.
Marvel is doing Doctor Strange.
You did it.
So
it's you.
Yeah, I don't know what Doctor Strange did to somebody. He might have gotten caught in a malpractice suit or something.
Seriously, in the movies, in the comics, like, come on. Okay,
but this is Al Ewing, and we do like Al Ewing, and Al Ewing does some awesome stuff. So there we go. I'm in a positive light. I'm cautiously optimistic. There, I'll leave it at that, because if I say anything else, it's gonna be negative.
I loved King in Black. I'm hoping that Queen in Black. I don't know if we needed it, but I hope it's cool. Boom.
Yay. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. I just think, Marvel's.
There we go. Marvel is doing some real interesting things. So yeah, I mean, at least in the Ultimate Universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's cooking,
right?
Oh, damn it. I can't believe I said cooking.
Right before it ends. It's cooking right before the finale.
Oh, I'm so mad at myself right now.
Main universe is just straight booty. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about what's in theaters. Let's talk about what just happened on TV and in comics. And we got a couple agendas to get off. Stay with us. In theaters this week. Oh my God, this room has the worst lighting. Anyway, this is what happens when you have a house full of kids running around. So, in theaters this week is Tron Ares. It's also Roofman, but I didn't get a chance to see Roofman, even though I want to see that for my own purposes. But I did go out and see Tron Ares. Am I the only one? Did anybody see this? Evan, did you have a screen?
I also saw it.
All right,
Wow,
into it.
guys, I'm shocked.
I'm shocked you weren't in like the first person at the midnight showing, Jared Leto stan.
I know. I really did want to go, but I was doing vacation things.
You know, I get it. So yeah, I saw Tron Ares, and I'm going to be writing a review for Comicbook.com as soon as I hop off here. And I think my review is going to be called, this was a perfectly suitable introduction to the movie fans really want to see. And this is what I would say about Tron Ares, is that it is it's like, okay, that was an okay pilot episode introducing a season of movie you actually want to see. The story is very predictable. It's very just kind of straightforward what you think it is. There's not a whole lot of twists or turns to it. There's some cool visual stuff. There's a couple cool 9 Inch Nails track. I don't know if the whole vibe of the 9 Inch Nails thing fits the story. But then again, I don't know if trying to take Tron out of the grid and put it on Earth is also the greatest move for this story. And it's very much just like a studio piece. There's nothing really deep about AI or existence. It's also another case of Jared Leto supposedly acting and being very method, but kind of just being a blank slate of, at this point, he's just becoming Jared Leto to me. Like every time I see him, I'm like, oh, that's just Jared Leto. He's just weird. And so this is a very weird performance from him. Ares is a very kind of weird character. I don't even know if we get much character from him, but he's also an AI. So it's kind of like, what do you do there? There's just these random conversations about Depeche Mode in the movie for some reason. In the 80s. And I'm like, is this Jared Leto? Do you guys just filming him between takes? Like, is this even part of the movie? Like, what? Why does this AI obsessed with the 80s and Depeche Mode? Like, I don't know. But it makes about as much sense as anything in this movie, which is like the scientist characters played by Greta Lee or Evan Peters. Gillian Anderson's thrown in here for some weird Oedipal thing that doesn't make any sense, as, Evan Peters' mom and the ex-CEO. And there's this whole kind of, they had a lot of ideas for this. There were a lot of people who had a lot of ideas. They're like, yo, I saw this episode of Succession. We should throw some of that in there. Like, yeah. And so it's just like cool. I mean, like when we're talking about other films where, the spectacle or the stuff is part of the story, this is the opposite. This is spectacle for spectacle's sake. All these sequences with the light bikes and the cutting through and all the stuff from the trailers is everything this movie really had in the holster is what they showed you in the trailers. And the stuff in between is really just okay. I think the only thing that really holds this movie together are like the protagonist cast, like Greta Lee's charismatic and like good on screen. And the guy who's always the MVP, the comedian, he had his own show. He's been in like The Menu. He plays her like second in command assistant, like I forget his name, but they're very good. Like the protagonist humans kind of bring humor and stuff because Ares, and they get good actors like Jodie Turner-Smith is like the antagonist. Ares, and she's Athena, the other kind of warrior AI in this who doesn't kind of go rogue like Ares does. So she's the one kind of coming after them. But like her and Jared Leto, of course, they're playing these blank slate characters. So it's not like they're not able to do that much with charisma. But Arturo Castro and Hassan Minhaj, who we've seen, they all play these supporting characters. And yeah, they're good in there. There's some interesting lore connections. And like I said, by the end of this, what they managed to do, at least do, is set up a more exciting film that would be after this. That kind of like ties back deeper into the lore of the entire franchise. And so in that sense, there are some interesting things that are happening, but this film in particular, it is, like I said, it's just like a very extensive pilot episode of a longer story to tell. Yeah, and it's just kind of mid. Evan, how do you feel?
Just apologies, Janelle, in advance. Boy, oh boy, did I hate this movie. Oh man.
Oh no.
I really like, and I was like, I'm not a big Tron guy, like in general. I remember seeing Tron Legacy and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, for the most part, like what I was originally like, what you want from a Tron movie, for me anyway, is like you want really cool visuals, which this movie has. And the fact that it has like a 9 Inch Nails soundtrack, also really good. Everything else about this movie is not good. And like the Kofi, you were kind of you kind of talked about it a little, but like especially like none of the characters for me worked in this. Like Ares, especially when he talks about like, I really like Depeche Mode, you never see when he like why he likes Depeche Mode, when he gets into this, what makes him more human than the other programs. It's never talked about. There are like none of the characters for me really worked. I thought like the story itself, like bringing Tron into the real world, and there's all this stuff about, oh, programs and vehicles from Tron can only exist for 30 minutes before they horrifically start screaming and are dragged back into the computer world. I thought like that whole concept just like didn't really work for me. I thought that there was just like there's a lot of really cool visuals that work really well here, but like for the most part, like if it doesn't really have a good story that backs it up, it just doesn't really work in that regard. Also, one of the things that I was so surprised about is that does everybody know who Cameron Moynihan is? He played the Joker in Gotham.
Yeah, he was on Shameless, Joker in Gotham. Like
Gotham,
yeah,
he was
Cal
in
Kestis.
The Star Wars games. He gets top billing in this movie, and he is in the movie for maybe 5 seconds. It's one kind of insane. I totally forgot that
one scene.
I totally forgot that he was in the movie. And when I was like, when I saw that we were going to talk about it today, I was like, I need to like remember because I forgot everything about this movie, despite the fact that I saw it on Monday. I was like, man, I need to remember what he played, and like he's in the movie for 5. So like, if you are a big Tron person, even like, man, I couldn't even recommend it. Like wasting like $30 to see it on an IMAX screen is just like, man, I could not really recommend that.
I paid $20 for Dolby and I was angry.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I can't even imagine, because I saw this at a press screening and I was like, oh man, like, oh, I couldn't. So like, yeah, it's a no for me, man.
Look, I'm a realist, okay? Like Tron's never been a good story. Nobody cared about Tron. Nobody cared about Tron. It was just the visual effects and the spectacle at the time was revolutionary. The ideas about computers was revolutionary, like, and forward thinking. Tron Legacy came out, and Tron Legacy is not even a freaking movie, dude. It's a vibe. It's like 2 hours of a vibe. It's a Daft Punk soundtrack with some visual. It's a visual soundtrack. You know, the story is ridiculous. The ISOs, all that. We never get any explanation to that. It's dumb as hell. But the visuals were awesome. The vibe was awesome. Like, we were all on a Tron vibe when that movie came out. And that's a lot to do with Kaczynski. Shout out to F1 yet again. But Joseph Kaczynski, being, you know, the director that he is, and able to make those visuals and immerse you in a world so well. And we went deep into the grid where Tron kind of could only play around with that concept. We were in there. It was a world. It was cool. Clue, at the time, the Jeff Bridges face swapping, all of that was like, it was a big deal. This is just a movie. Like, there's nothing revolutionary about this. Like, it is just somebody doing their own Tron fan film, essentially, with a big budget. But there's no vibe to this. You're not going to see everybody in light suits now and doing light cycle TikToks and stuff. Like, it's just not there. It's just Tron's now become another product, and this is a story in that product. And Disney's kind of too scared to even say anything profound about AI or what it is. It's like, if anything, what this movie is positing is, oh, hey guys, there could be already AI people walking around, judging you. Like, yeah, just consider that. And it's like, thanks, I needed another reason to worry today. But there's nothing like heartfelt or profound that comes out of this movie. There's no arc or character resolutions. There's no like any of that. It's just hollow product and pretty pictures and pretty visual effects. I'll give you that look great. Like these sequences when they do go into the grid in the middle section of this movie, beautiful. I mean, action sequences, amazing. Dolby sound, picture, fantastic. Do you care? Not necessarily. And that's what it is. Product, baby. All right. So that's it. That's Tron. We've made it product. Next one will maybe be made by Chat GPT. Who knows? All right. Let's get to something we can all talk about. No less hopeful, though. There's always going to be a war somewhere to fight. God only knows I've had some rough fucking years. All right. So, Peacemaker Season 2. Y'all better keep, as I tweeted out, y'all better keep that same energy you had for Alien Earth for this BS. I'm not gonna hold you. This is one of the worst back halves of a season I've ever seen. When you now step back and look at all in totality, like very good buildup, terrible letdown. Like rushed through the Earth X thing in one episode, kind of come back here, and this is one of the worst finales I've ever seen. Like I was just like, really? Then we have to end it all with the full circle of doing a musical number for the band who got top billing at the opening of every credit of this show. And it's probably seen their stream skyrocket. Like, most people don't even like the dance from season 2. They're not even sold on it. And we got a whole concert of it. And this thing was like, for all the good character work it did, the resolution of this was just like, your friends come over and talk to you. It's okay now. And it's just like, all right. And we even have this kind of ending where we're literally just kind of placing Peacemaker on the sidelines for whenever. Could get back to him, maybe not. We'll see. So, yeah, I was just kind of really let down by the last. I thought the penultimate episode was setting up something, but this just kind of retroactively made me even hate that episode a little bit because I'm like, we blew our load on the whole Earth X thing, and it was just so rushed, and we didn't even do anything else with it. Like, this just felt like the beginning of season 3 more than like the end of season 2. So I don't know. James Gunn, take a break, man. Let some other people create in the DCU for a little bit. I mean, I commend you. I'm gonna shoot him the bail that he was doing so much at once, and for it to even turn out half of being this good is commendable. But yeah, this finale was ass. For me, speaking for me, I can't speak for the whole group. Group, speak for yourselves.
I will also, I'll quickly contribute. I agree with you, Kofi, and I'm very sad at the fact that it just didn't come together. It's kind of crazy because the season finale just feels tonally all over the place. And I know I've seen comments that talk about like we need to take Gunn's budget for music away, and I totally agree. This is kind of like the biggest representation of like the weakness of James Gunn, which I really haven't seen as much. Which is just like there were so many musical, like, dude, pull it back. Like every single, like there were so many musical montages. And it just completely, it felt like it like steamrolled past all the Earth X stuff. And it was just, I was really sad in that regard because it felt like, I know that some folks criticize like James Gunn and James Gunn's endings in general. And I think this is kind of a perfect representation of that. It didn't feel like the end of season 2. It felt like, a beginning of season 3 that we might never get. And it's just, I'm just sad and disappointed in it, man. It's, I mean, it's just sad to say because like I was really digging a lot of season 2 in general, but like it just completely fumbled the ball. I felt. Janelle, Matt, what do you guys think on it?
Janelle,
I completely agree. I feel kind of let down. It didn't feel like a finale at all. I'm confused. Every single like portal they went through should have been its own episode. because that was so interesting. Like zombies are so interesting. Little magical Candyland with weird, creepy guys. So interesting. I don't understand. Like even the like love story. uh, I'm so confused. Like they were on a concert. Like the whole episode starts with them on a boat at a concert, like on a date. And so I didn't even realize that there was any kind of dating between these two at all prior to this. I just thought he had a crush on her. So I was very, very
Yeah,
taken aback.
yeah. Let's stop there because I want to go back on. I want to focus in on that because
Yeah.
that confused me too. The whole season we heard about the boat, and I assume these two had like banged on a boat. Like, did they just kiss at a concert? And this is what we've been talking about the whole time.
I agree. It's just it sucks because it wasn't impactful the way that it should have been. Like there was no payoff in any of this, and I just feel like, and this is just me spitballing, but I feel that this episode served a purpose for the greater good of the DC, franchise, like everything that's going to be happening in the future of the DC, instead of focusing like this is our show, this is the priority, we need to make this show really good. I think they were like, let's set up all like a bunch of other stuff at the end of the season and sacrifice this great show for that. And that's really uncool. Like that's not cool, man. Like we don't need to do that. Like focus on each project. Don't get too like big with your brain and go, oh, let's start setting up the second Superman film. Like what? Anyways,
Yeah, they've set up, and if nobody caught it, like what they set up is at the very end. Spoilers is that Rick Flag Sr. and his crew start Checkmate, which is like the metahuman hunting organization that grabs people. So yes,
and they could have set that up, but
they're the secret police who go around grabbing people and disappearing them. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah. Checkmate. Yes, Checkmate.
Which okay, well, let's not slander Checkmate because Checkmate rules. Checkmate doesn't need to catch strays here. Those are fantastic books, and that's an awesome group. And so I will just say like that. Don't blame them for a not great finale. I will say,
did I say that wrong?
Salvation Run is, I don't know. I agree with some of the comments I've seen about if you're gonna dive into the DC.
Sorry, I said Flag set up Checkmate. I was wrong. It's the 11th Street Kids. My bad.
Yeah, they're also Checkmate, but also
chat's right. I said it wrong.
But he sets up Salvation Run, which is essentially like, hey, this prison, we're gonna have all these villains kind of, going against each other and things like that in the books. Now he did say that, we're not going to. That's just essentially the shell. Like, don't expect a 1-to-1 to the comics from that event. So, it's not going to be a beat for beat thing, and he's gonna kind of just use that broad concept and then run from there. So okay, it's just like as a concept, it's not like something that gets me like super hyped. I was like, oh, okay, not at this point, right? Because I don't feel like we've gotten to a point where like we've earned that yet. Like we don't have a number of these villains set up on the board, and yes, you can introduce them through that, and maybe that's the easiest way to introduce a bunch of people into the world is like, hey, you consolidate a ton of them into one place, and then you can meet all these villains and stuff. Hey, cool, I get that. I understand the expediency of it. It just feels a little like maybe this is a further down the line type of thing you do when you have a couple of villains you can like really gravitate towards, and then that makes it interesting to have them all in one place or whatever. I will echo what everybody else pretty much said. It's weird. There's parts of this finale I like, but it just does feel like the bottom half of the season we went through. It took us a little bit longer to get to the big Earth X thing than I anticipated, and then we didn't get to stay there very long. And so it just does feel like we had to then rush and get all these other things done. Having Chris be in that place to me is interesting because of the journey he's gone on, right? He's not a villain. And having him in that same space with all these other people will be interesting, but you just don't know when that's going to come into play. Like, what series are they going to be doing that in? That's going to get touched upon in Man of Tomorrow, but for how long? There's just a lot of questions, and it didn't nail the landing of being a season 2 finale.
Yeah, Judo Foster, I'm gonna have to disagree you. This was one of the worst finales ever. And I missed the checkmate sign because I had tuned out to the musical number montage so badly by then. I didn't look back at the screen until I saw Eagly flying, and I was just like, oh, they just walked out of a building and I didn't give a rat's ass. And I was like, okay. So I didn't even see the pan up to the sign. That's why I got confused at the end. I was like, well, this is a weird spin on checkmate. But yeah, you guys are right in the chat. I missed that part watching because it was ass, man. It was so, like, the musical number had me so tuned out. I was like, I listen, and I like that song. Like, I actually like Foxy Shazam and that song and, like, in it as the opening, but I listen to it every week. I didn't need a finale montage of it, but, here we are. You guys are crazy. Yeah. All right. So that's Peacemaker. I think the Alien Earth finale was better than that. I'm just going to say it. Let's talk about something that we all are going to feel good about, which is Monster, the Ed Gein story.
Segue.
This one has gotten a lot of controversy. They always get controversy every time they come out. And rightly so. It is kind of a weird double-edged sword with Monster. Like, we do love serial killer and kind of, true crime stuff in our culture right now. But I think Ryan Murphy is walking this weird, dangerous line where it feels like we are further kind of aggrandizing these figures in pop culture while also examining and deconstructing them. We're kind of doing both at once. And I think he's kind of he's trying to use one hand to constantly wash the other. But this one feels particularly a little bit dirtier because it is a little bit more detached from reality. It's a little bit more of a production and theatrical and surreal. And so there's all this artistic stuff being put into it, while at the same time acknowledging that the effect Ed Gein has had and the legacy of the horrific stuff he has done has permeated our culture and changed it in a way that is, we're never going back to the point that we're all watching the series, but that Ed Gein himself, once he at least posited in this series, when he was able to get proper psychiatric care and stuff like that, would have not been happy about or comfortable with himself. So this one's a really tough one to kind of get your head around it. And I don't mind messy, creative art because I think art should be never so simple that you can say, oh, this means that. Oh, like that's a magic eye. You know what I mean? That's a magic eye picture. I think art should feel messy. It should make you feel a lot of things. I think this does that in a very substantial way, but I also don't know if it does it in a proper way. There are, as we can get into, a lot of liberties that are taken with this story. And I think some of them could be rightfully offensive to some people, especially the people who were victims directly of this evil in kind of this trauma. There are certain things that this show does and adds that I don't think are necessarily really were good creative decisions. But I will say this. I say, for all the criticism that is being had, I think Charlie Hunnam did a very, very, very good job of throwing himself in this role. At no point, there was only one point where his accent broke through, but at no point was I like, oh, I'm watching Jax Teller, so that's what we should be doing, or that's all he can do. He really did disappear into this role and kind of make this character his own. And him and Laurie Metcalf, and they did a great job. And so, yeah, I don't know. And I think it has a lot to do also as we keep going back into more historical eras where maybe the factual information is harder to discern, we're going to get these more artistic liberties, which I don't know if you saw the end of this show, but the next one's Lizzie Borton, right? So I don't know what the hell that's going to look like because yeah, we're going even further back into period pieces. So I don't know. This one was very confusing. It was hard. It was I don't know if I was not doing this for work, if I might have taken a much longer time with this. I told you guys like binging some of these in like one shot was not good for me. I don't think it's good for anybody. It's just so dark and just bleak and sad and weird. And, I think this one's different because I think this one also makes the point that like, yeah, your own mind can be the worst prison you have, like, and the worst enemy you have is your own brain. Yeah, that kind of stuff freaks me out. So, and like the not thinking know what reality is and you're completely nuts and things like that. So yeah. Anyway, I've talked enough. How did you guys feel? So now we made you do this, and I know you always get angry at us. So get it off.
I will say this, like, I really loved the Menendez brothers season. So I was prepared. I figured we'd be watching this, so don't worry. I was ready. I couldn't get through the entire season because, like you said, it's really heavy. So I think I have 2 episodes left, and I I prepped myself going, okay, I need to approach this in a professional manner as if I'm just the facts, ma'am. Don't get emotional and just try to watch it and talk about it on the podcast about how you feel. And I will say, I feel like the direction was great. I feel like the story is crazy. It's very visual. I think the acting is incredible, especially from the woman who plays the mother. But this is not my style. Like I'm not into this, but I do think it's well done for what it is, not having a big base of knowledge on horror in general. What really messed me up is whenever I realized like this isn't some fake thing, like this actually happened. And I did not sleep last night. I like genuinely had nightmares all night last night. I kept waking up all night long having nightmares. And so bravo if that's what, they wanted me to go through.
Bubba Black on Facebook. Aunt Jackie said, say her name, Aunt Jackie for Laurie Metcalf. I love a good Roseanne reference. Thank you for that. That made me laugh. Matt, you are also our other sensitive soul on this show. How did you feel about all this?
I mean, look, you know what you're kind of getting when you dive into some of these things, and I'm actually perfectly fine with like based on a true story, and we're gonna take a liberty here and there. Oh man, I'm blanking on the name of the movie. I was actually I really dug it. It was the Anna Kendrick Netflix project.
Oh yeah, like it's whatever, like Most Gentlemen or like whatever, Promising Gentlemen or something like that.
Yeah. So like that one's based on a true story, right? It was based on a true
Bachelor
story
or something like that.
of a killer, yeah, of a and how her like brush with him and things like that, and some of those things. And there were some liberties taken there that they would explain kind of why. But again, it didn't take away from the liberties weren't didn't feel like they glorified or took away from the impact of like what we're really talking about and like the depravity of it, right? And so it didn't lean into it and it didn't take away from that. It was just other things. It was kind of existential things, and that's the stuff that like I'm cool with, like us taking liberties and changing things around. And this one veers in the territory that some of these do, where it just feels like, this goes back all the way to a conversation we had about Joker. Okay, when you where it feels like we're glorifying some things for the sake of hey, look at look, you can even say this about the trailer. Okay, the trailer for this leans into the, hey, remember all those horror icons you adore and those Chainsaw Massacre and this and that. This was the one before them all. Well, this was like a real person. People were really hurt by this. Isn't just some like horror story that people thought up to tell people at night. So like, I don't know. I get conflicted when it comes to that, and some of the choices that this show makes it feels like, kind of like you were talking about. It kind of feels like we veer into territory of not glorifying it, but also kind of, I feel like, making this more of a story. We kind of push it more into that fictional place of like, let's take some chances here and let's do some psychological stuff and this and that, where like, again, this is real things, and they had real impact, and you don't really need to add on to that. Like that should be enough. And I feel like if you're digging for more than that, what the hell are you doing? Like, I don't know. Like, some things don't need additional stuff. It should have enough there. So anyway, it's kind of feel like I left kind of feeling gross, and and be like, oh, cool. Like, I watched it. I did the thing. And gonna go watch some documentary about penguins or something to cleanse my brain for a week. But like, I don't know, that always tends to be my biggest hang up with these. Because I'm totally cool with the documentary style. Like, I'm totally cool with that. And again, I'm even cool with extrapolating stories. I mean, look, I'm a huge, I watch Law and Order all the time. We extract things from real stories all the time, and then you run with them this way. But when you are adapting literal one-to-one stuff sometimes, and then we start doing it, I don't know, it gets a little murky for me.
Yeah. All right. Evan, did you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I'll be really quick. So number one, it's kind of funny how this simultaneously sensationalizes a lot of what Ed Gein, like his life, while also being very boring. I'll come at it like we talk like, and I hate to. There's a lot this week that I really hated in terms of the stuff that I took in. But I would take the chance to kind of recommend a comic book that does a really fantastic job of documenting Ed Gein's life. It's called it's by Eric Powell, the creator of The Goon, and it's called Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Did? And it's an amazing comic book that does not it does not sensationalize anything, and it gives you a really in-depth look into Ed Gein's life, like why he was disturbed, like what happened to him to make him like this. I did not like this. I think that and I think that you shouldn't have. While I think Charlie did a good job with what he had, I think he was kind of miscast in this. I think they should have got somebody who looked way slimier, if that makes sense. Like someone who did not look as handsome as he does, because Ed Gein was you should have made him look way worse in general. But yeah, I'm not saying that this couldn't have worked, because I think that there is a way to kind of, because Ed Gein is an interesting monster, in terms of his life and everything. And I just felt the approach kind of didn't work with this in general. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it. Again, read the graphic novel. Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Did? It's amazing, and it takes this subject matter and does it way better than Netflix did here.
All right, let's move on from this evil to something else. Let's talk about some comics real quick. Talk about evil. Matt made me read that DCKO. That was evil.
Wait. Whoa. Okay, why don't you lead it? You got thoughts. I'm all about it. What did you think?
I thought it was for a thing that's supposed to be a fight tournament. It was very kind of wordy and dense in the build-up. We're getting talked to by the Heart of Apocalypse, whatever the hell that means. This whole thing is way too wordy. I like if you're gonna sell me on a fight tournament in action, the action panels weren't even that great. Like this thing better just after we've done this better be one of those things where we had to get all the preamble out of the way in the first issue, and from now on it's matchups and good bouts and fights that also have some kind of context in them. Again, this was just so much words for like,
oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, so wait. Like, you didn't like the dark side fight at the beginning?
I don't like when DC starts getting on this godly, like the whole god metaphysical, the forgers, the crises. Like this is where it begins.
Yeah, give it to me.
No, like okay, you got it. Just call me when somebody's fighting somebody.
The World Forger. Tell us what it is. Now, ironically, I say all this in jest because number one, I do love all of that stuff, except for one thing. I will always come back to one thing that always annoys the snot out of me. Please do not include that in any stories. They don't hear, so we're good. The cosmic treadmill. I hate that thing. I think it go die in a fire. I can't stand that thing. I don't know why. I just have a thing with it. However, all of the other superfluous things, gimme. As Batista said, give me what I want. He didn't say it that way. He said it cooler than that. But yes, I look DCKO for those if you haven't been paying attention to kind of the all-in absolute collision course, they are now colliding in DC KO number one, and it does set up, like Kofi was saying, it kind of sets up this big tournament to determine essentially who can, because Omega Darkseid has become so powerful, just omnipotent at this point, that they figure out a way to kind of, well, if we steal the heart that's kind of powering all this, then whoever can do that gets to essentially dictate and create the world based around them. And that's a great in theory. And here's what I love, because I agree it's a slow start. Even though in the first couple pages you do get like this gorgeous action sequence with Darkseid, which I think looks dope as anything. But I will say there is a lot. And that was like my one main critique of the book was like, there's a lot in the run up here. We get a lot of exposition. We get a lot of things that need to be set in place because other things don't matter as much if some of those things aren't set in place, right? Like there's this big reveal, and we are getting the spoilers, by the way, for KO from here on out. But like there's a big reveal of like the villains that comes later. Well, the reason why you put that out of your brain is because, oh, hey, we thought we dealt with that. And like, here's all our thinking and planning or whatever. But, you know, that was the whole deal of like, well, who can actually create this universe? Well, we want it to all be heroes, obviously, so we can fix it after it's broken. And then now we have people like the Joker and people like Lex Luthor in the mix who can also win it and then create it in there. So there's some big ideas at play. It's 40 pages. This is a big one. Pause. So like
hey yo
so yes, so there's a lot here, and I do agree it's dense in the way of DC books when we tap into all that stuff that I adore. I know it's not for everyone, but once we get to the tournament, which is about a little bit over halfway in, I think like from here it'll probably pick up considerably, because I mean we're in the thick of it, right? People dying. I mean, there's you can go check out a whole story I wrote based on like who's already died, who's off the board. Some surprising names in that. I won't spoil that here, but like some surprising names in that mix, and who the 32 people left are who can claim this. I liked the big concepts and I dug this. Janelle, what did you think?
I loved this. I loved it.
Hey.
Yes. I was very excited to be reading this and not checking what page I was on. Yes, I agree it was wordy, but it didn't bother me. I liked the narration. I obviously liked the dialogue between the characters. I love how many heroes and villains are now in this. I love the stakes being so high. I was about it. Like, I'm all in. I want to keep reading. Obviously, I think Superman is going to win it because this is centered around him. So it's a little predictable in that regard, but I'm not mad at that. I'm okay.
Yeah, I do agree. I do hope they swerve
Yeah.
I hope we get some swerves along the way. And of
Wonder
course, then
Woman.
we get my other big nitpick was just the fact that like this is a clash of the absolute universes, but really only from like Darkseid's point of view so far.
Right.
But again,
Okay.
the Scott Snyder tee up towards the end there, and you see the heroes there, and just man, there's the potential for this and the promises of things to come is huge. Again, we've talked a lot about finales recently. I hope they stick to that landing, because that will suck if they do not. Evan, did you have a chance to read this or no?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. And I enjoyed this. It kind of feels like typical like Scott Snyder kind of stuff. But I am on board for like I am a sucker for big, weird, stupid things that happen in comics. And like Superman creating brass knuckles out of tiny suns is
Tiny suns.
How can you hate that, man? Like I saw that. I remember reading that preview and being like, okay, I'll give this a read. Like, yeah, get weird with it.
I was out on page 1.
big.
What was he gonna call them? I love the joke of
Dawn Breakers.
Or
Dawn's Days.
No, Dawn's Days.
Yeah.
I saw a preview for the cover of issue 2, and it's like Lobo with Bane's Venom stuff like in the back of his neck, and I'm like, okay, you got me. I was already on board.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man.
Awesome.
Oh,
Man.
wow.
And there's some surprising names in that 32. And there's some surprising names that aren't there. I will say, this is going to be, I predict that, if as long as they survive by issue 3, this will probably be the project where Plastic Man is like, has all the love for Plastic Man coming out. This dude owned in every scene he was in this one.
Man,
I'm like, I need more of that.
Really, really quickly on Eel O'Brien, I will never get over the idea of like when writers try to make him the ultimate badass. Like it's Plastic Man. Stop it. Like I know that was
he's amazing
in Frank Miller's Dark Knight Strikes Again or whatever, but like the idea that like he'll kill everybody. Like, dude, come on, stop it.
All right.
He's
I feel like we've given this enough shine. Let's talk about the real thing this week, man.
Oh, well, there's a couple real things, but let's get into Absolute Batman.
Let's talk about the real thing this week. The
Which
one
was?
comic that's dominating them all. Y'all have been all on this Wonder Woman tip, blah, blah, Absolute Wonder Woman, blah, blah, blah. Let's get back to Absolute Batman. The top comic.
Absolute Batman is very, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but it's very good. Absolute Batman's fantastic. And we finally get the long-awaited, this is number 13, by the way. So this one features the long-awaited debut of Absolute Catwoman. We finally get to see Selena. Now, I do have a question for the panel here. I was reading it as he was saying her name as Say. Was I correct in that? Or is that one of those things where you say it out, you read it out loud and you read it wrong? Because like they do their own version of Bat-Cat here, kind of, but it's like he calls her Say, and that's how I was reading it, but I might have had that wrong. But I was like, Selena, it's Say, like that's a thing. I dig when writers put that kind of, I don't know, it brings me closer to them when there's some kind of familiarity there, that it's like that extra level there. I love it when Tom King does it in his run. I like it here. But we get that relationship explored, and really there's a scene that I just adore, which is we have this like big confrontation in front of Alfred and Bruce Wayne putting his foot down and being like, no, she's leaving right now. And then the immediate scene after is hilarious. I thought that was so real. It's like that ain't happening. She told you where to, like, to chill out immediately after that. Like everyone was in the room. Like, nah, that's not how it's going down. That was fantastic. What'd you guys think of this?
I like the dynamic, and it was kind of unexpected. Again, I like how this book goes in unexpected ways than I think it will. And Selena kind of coming back, you think she's going to be like this antagonist and stuff, but she kind of comes in as glue that pulls things together.
Yeah.
And isn't it but it's still very much Selena. And yeah, it's interesting. And as we're seeing, it's very different. Snyder's, I think, greatest contribution to this is making the decision to have Bruce Wayne be socioeconomically amongst the average working class people as opposed to like a rich elitist, because you begin to see how fundamentally it changes all his perspectives and relationships. Like he's not some dogmatic guy standing over Selena. Like he understands, he understands the gray areas, the hustle, like what she does, who she is. And like already you can feel like that dynamic, like these two have been together. They are whatever, the high school sweethearts or whatever you want to compare it to, who might have that toxic kind of relationship, but again, like never really can quit it. Like they're going to hit it more than they quit it. So yeah. And it feels kind of a modern take, but it feels very much in line with who Bruce and Selena are and their push pull and the constant kind of like tension between them, but the attraction and, leaning into like, yeah, these two are kind of together. They are lovers, so I dug it. And I dug where it brings Batman by the end of this, because we finally get the thing that we've been debating in DC fandom since, the last 10 years is what the hell should Batman be doing out here? Like, what is it to help the people? And like, how do you do that? And so this is interesting. Scott Snyder's cooking, and this book is an event every time it comes out. And, Wayland's still in the mix, baby.
Oh yeah, that's
Killer Croc.
such a great setup too. Oh man, and like you're right though, because we even get a little touchback on that and their relationship, and like like there's a whole thing about like him training him as a boxer and all that. I love how they sneak that stuff in, and that stuff pays off. It's one of the thing I love about the Superman book that does all the time, just like straight up mainline Superman from Williamson. I love how he does that stuff. He'll bring those little story points and they always matter later. And again, Absolute Batman does that as well. And we didn't even talk about Harley. You get a debut from Harley Quinn here. What are you feeling?
I didn't read this, and I'm so excited when you said Harley. I lit up. So I'm so sorry. I don't know why. I just completely this one went over my head.
This was your book.
I know. I like legit. I think I was so fixated on KO that I didn't even think. I just completely forgot. I'm on it.
We need to do a check-in. Yeah, next week.
I'm on it. I swear.
Because
God, I'm usually so good. I always read my comics.
I think you'll really dig
Harley
this one.
Quinn, Catwoman, where you at?
I know.
Yeah, and this book also just like Nick
ladies.
Dragata's artwork continues to be fantastic. But yeah, big swings. Really, really digging this. We were finally kind of getting that giant showdown, and I'm really curious to see where this goes.
Harley was in KO too, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was. Yes, Harley's all over the place right now. Did anyone else read Marvel Knights Punisher #1?
No, I didn't get to it yet.
Okay.
That's not
okay. Am I going to get to this?
Let's skip it. We can talk about it if anyone wants to read it. Okay, Marvel Knights. Look, Marvel Knights always has my attention. I have a soft spot for the Marvel Knights era of Marvel Comics, both from the creative teams and some of the stories that we got out of that. I just adore. This one was, despite having some good talent attached to it, man, I finished that book and went, okay, I'm not going back to that. I don't know what it's not even against, like, it's not against the Punisher story. I've seen several Punisher stories really resonate with me, and this one just feels, I don't know, just like there wasn't much. I feel like some of the things we touch on here where like Frank is being kind of turned into a weapon, we just saw in Absolute Batman. And I thought it was so much better, like better done in Absolute, especially where we are now. Like there's things that mimic, right? It's like someone wanting to turn you into the thing that you hate most, or that kind of idea. That's like the second half of the book. And then the first half of the book is just like, normal, I don't know, just like very surface level Punisher stuff. I do like the artwork. I kind of like the it's almost like Godfather-ish mafioso vibe that the artwork really captures. It captures that, and I dig that. But other than that, It was just forgettable, and just compared to like some of the things. I like some of the ideas and concepts, but they're just being done better in other spaces. So yeah, we'll see. I was hoping for something big here, and it did not
IML
land for me.
zombie.
Oh yeah, that's just.
I think that like the Punisher as a character, it's kind of like you should never glorify Frank Castle, and I think like the story that this reminded me of was like Punisher: The End by Garth Ennis, which I really liked that single issue, and this just felt like a really bad copy of it. Like and it just like it didn't work for me. I thought like even looking at the cover, like I hate that redesign of Frank. I think that like the weird skull like inverted thing, but like this is a pass.
I think Punisher should only be used for miniseries and show up in other places unexpectedly. Like the whole trying to probe Frank Castle stuff, like how far can we go with this? Like, how deep can we go? How many times can he become a resurrected devil, an angel guy who just goes back to a one gun? Like, the Punisher's.
And you remember that Angel run? I do actually, kind of fondly a little bit.
It would just have to be a ninja god. Like, just he's a dude. He's a force of nature. He shows up with a gun and starts just eliminating things, and other heroes are like, "Where did you come from? And what are you doing?" And then he pops out and he's like, all right, takes a beat and he's like, I love you, Captain America. And he disappears again. That's what Punisher should be.
Well, that's, it's one of the reasons why.
Deus Ex Machina.
Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I actually love him in Civil War. That's why that scene and his whole allegiance to Cap and he saves Spider-Man. That's like an iconic moment in that story for me. And there's an immediate rustling of all the other heroes of like, what, now we're like aligning with him, like that's how far we've fallen. And Cap's like, whatever, dude. Like we gotta do it. And again, that's where he's gold, right? Him and Daredevil interact. That's where he shines, because I feel like you're able to get that contrast. When it's just him, sometimes it's very easy to just completely lose sight of that contrast. You don't have him playing up against other people like that. That's why it doesn't always work. I will say I agree with Briarwood though. I do like the Jason Aaron hand run, because that was interesting. That was a cool idea. Also Benjamin Percy, I like a lot of what Benjamin Percy does. So credit to him too. Not saying there aren't great Punisher runs, great Punisher stories. I even have a soft spot for the Angel Punisher era, for just as off the wall as that thing was. But still, this one, not it. But that's comics.
All right. And Evan, did you have anything in your agenda you wanted to talk about before we get out of here?
Yes, really quickly. The final, and this is a great thing that kind of blends the two worlds that I love, which is like, I'm an anime guy, obviously. I write a lot about anime for the site in general, but one of the things that I really love to do is be able to, as a comic book fan as well, I got into comic books first when I was a kid. One of the things that I like to do is be able to blend the two worlds and make recommendations for folks who may not watch anime as much as me. And one of the best representations of that for like Marvel and DC fans is My Hero Academia, which is currently in its final season. It is about to end. This is its 8th and final season. The premiere episode aired, as well as the second episode, I believe, airs this Sunday. I want to say either tomorrow or Sunday. But it has started. They are setting up the end. The manga ended last year. If you are a fan of Marvel and DC stuff, this is a storyline that is the best thing to jump into. It creates its own continuity. It has countless heroes and villains throughout that you can. I love pointing to All Might. For those who don't know, All Might is a character who is basically a fusion of Captain America and Superman rolled into one that you can see in this anime. So if you are a Marvel and DC fan, check out My Hero Academia, because it kind of takes what is amazing about those two universes, slams them together. The creator is a fan of both of those things. And it's worth checking out if you can.
Okay, that'll do it for this episode. We once again want to thank our episode sponsor, Global Comics. That is Global Comics with an X at the end, where you can subscribe for a gold membership and get access to a bunch of the major comic publishers, including DC Comics, and spend your time reading a lot of these books. They also have many famous graphic novels, which you can either read online or purchase at a discounted price with your gold membership. So go on to Global Comics, start playing around, because it is quickly coming up as the digital comic reader, and we are happy to have them sponsoring the show. Thank you guys all for waking up and hopping on with us. We always love our live chat. Shout out to our regulars, from Brywood to Jude and Foster to new faces like Bubba Black. Thanks for coming on with us. Fire Grilled. You know, there's a lot of you. Martin Washington, Zach G. I love all you guys in the chat. Everybody who's not here right today, but is usually here, from Damien to Distance Nerding and everybody else, Agents of Fandom. Shout out to everybody. Kyle, we love you guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. All right, we're going to get out of here. Little show announcement. I won't be here next week, so these maniacs will be running the show. I am going on fall break with my family, so yeah, you guys will be at the helm. Try not to burn the place down. All right, I will see you guys in 2 weeks when I get back from a little vacation and we get into the real heart of spooky season. We are Comic Book Nation. Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Bye.
Read ComicBook.com.